Race 20 coming up, the second part of the Aston Martin Trophy for Masters Endurance Legends. So the cars are now being led through the corner before the start line, through Club Corner, with Jonathan Kennard leading the way, Steve Tandy alongside him. All the cars with their lights ablaze in the traditional manner for endurance racing these days. And here they come into the first corner, and it is already Jonathan Kennard getting away from Steve Tandy in second place. Christoph Danzenborg in the Lola Aston Martin in third place as they come into your side, Alistair, for the first time.
Yeah, so Jonathan Kennard is leading, and Steve Tandy in second place. Then it's Christoph Danzenborg in the similar colours, the sort of golf colours. And then next up is James Cottingham in the Open Dallara as they head off down the Wellington Straight for the first time. Then it's the first of the Peugeots, although I don't think Crichton Lendoudis took the start, unfortunately, in the second Peugeot. And towards the back, unsurprisingly, Emmanuel Collard has not yet made any places up, but he starts to do so as they go down the Wellington Straight.
Yes, it won't take him long, obviously, to work his way past the GT cars, because essentially, as with Le Mans racing these days, the GT category, the World Endurance Championship, has the GT category as well as the prototype category. It's the prototypes that make their way at phenomenal speed through Woodcote Corner and into Copse Corner. And in a moment, they'll be back with you, Alistair.
Yes, they are, and the first chance for those spectators who weren't here yesterday to see the speed through Beckett's. It's beyond belief, and they're not up to full speed yet, I would imagine, just still making sure the tyres are up to temperature. But the leader, unsurprisingly, Jonathan Kennard, flying at the front and making his way through is Collard now. He's about halfway up the field.
Yeah, 165 miles an hour down the Hanger Straight is what we're getting on the timing screen. Through the speed trap on Hanger Straight. We've got the Wellington Straight speed trap as well to give you a little later, but waiting for them to come to the end of the lap then. Down through Vale they go. Jonathan Kennard leading. And the fastest speed we've had, 178 miles an hour by David Porter in his Peugeot. So Jonathan Kennard at the end of lap one and is already nearly 4 seconds ahead of Christoph Danzenborg in the Lola Aston in second place. In third place, Steve Tandy. Then David Porter's Peugeot is fourth. James Cottingham in the Dallara is in fifth place. Sixth is Sean Lynn in the number 9 Bentley Speed 8. Already a 10-year-old car. You'd think they were only made yesterday, but they go back a long way already. So you've got the leader back with you, Alistair.
Back and gone already down at Brooklands. Amazing speed, and the Bentley ahead of a line of cars. Leading, in fact, the 34 car, which Andrew was talking about yesterday, actually, a car that's racing today, wasn't here for qualifying, Francois Perraudot.
And Emmanuel Collard on the first lap up to 15th place, but in the pits. Emmanuel Collard has made it into the pits. Andrew will probably give us a reason for that in a moment, but he's in the pits. Lendoudis, you thought, didn't start. He hasn't gone through, so you're right. The Morgan didn't start either, by the looks of things. I think Collard's going out again, isn't he? Andrew?
I think he was in the penalty box.
Oh, right.
I'm heading down there to find out. And the second Peugeot Crichton car, I thought I saw it come out. It might have stopped on the warming up lap, actually.
Well, it will have done, because it's certainly not come through on the end of the first racing lap.
It hasn't, that's correct.
And the penalty, the penalty, you could be right, there's a penalty carried over from the previous race.
Yeah, I bet that's what it... I'm going to go and find out anyway. The other thing is, the Porsche, remember why the driver didn't practice the car, qualify the car? His wife was having a baby that day, wasn't she? So he did. Yeah. And that's a new car to him, the one that was, as we say, raced at Le Mans, and what its class with Josh Verstappen at the wheel. Anyway, I'm heading off to the orange overall officials to find out what that penalty was, but I'm sure you've got it right.
If I'd been issued with a grid sheet, I would have been able to confirm that, but because I haven't got a grid sheet, I can't tell you. Anyway, the leader's gone through, 6.5 seconds is lead after 2 laps. Danzenborg is second. Third is Steve Tandy. David Porter fourth, James Cottingham fifth. Back in sixth place, the new father, number 34, Francois Perraudot in the Porsche RS Spider. Then he's moved ahead of Sean Lynn. In fact, he's gained a couple of places on that lap. In 8th place is number 24, Mike Furness in the Courage. In 9th place, Mike Newton in the MG Lola. And in 10th place, number 99, is Jamie Constable, who wasn't out yesterday, I don't think, but in the Pescarolo today. Instant between cars numbers 99 and 007 under investigation. Well, 007 is the car of Alexander Lee now, assuming he started the race, and 99 is Jamie Constable. So whatever that incident was, it's under investigation. And quite a little battle going on here. They just left you, Alistair, haven't they, for second place?
Must have done, yes, not in our sight here.
Oh, down into Stowe Corner, and the number 7 car of David Porter up into 3rd place, I reckon, now, ahead of Steve Tandy. Still, Jonathan Kennard leads, completing his 3rd lap. Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, David Porter's really coming to terms with that Peugeot, isn't he?
Yes.
I told you yesterday that we found out that it got very small restrictors on it, because the last race it ever did was winning the Sebring 12 hours. And when they found it got these smaller restrictors on, they've changed them, and the car's going much better. And David's getting to grips with, of course, he's had a lot of success in the Pescarolos. Now, the Collard incident, it was a stop go, 30 seconds. I just spoke to the marshal. She says, I don't actually know why we stopped it. We were just told to hold it for 30 seconds. But I think your supposition is absolutely correct. It's for yesterday's incident.
Yeah, because I think he was at fault there. So Emmanuel Collard now with an extra deficit to make up. So at the moment, he is a long way down. Well, he's effectively in last place at the end of the previous lap, but this time he may have gained a place or two. Meanwhile, out front, Jonathan Kennard now 10.8 seconds clear of Steve Tandy, who's gone back up to 2nd place. David Porter is 3rd, and Christoph Danzenberg has fallen to 4th. James Cottingham is 5th, and in 6th place is number 34, Francois Perrodo in the Porsche RS Spider, going nicely. In 7th place in the Bentley is Sean Lynn, number 9. Mike Furness, Jamie Constable, 8th and 9th, and 10th is Mike Newton. Leading GT car is the Max Girardo Ferrari, number 65, which won the class yesterday. The Ferrari 550, the big front-engine Ferrari. Jonathan Kennard in the number 10 Pescarolo comes through to complete lap 4. Previous lap was the new fastest lap. That's an even quicker one. And already coming up to lap, there's a Ferrari trying to disappear off the track almost. That's János Santa, the Hungarian driver, keeping out of the way as best he could, succeeding, and you got the leader back with you.
Yes, coming into the loop, got a couple of the GT4 Aston Martins just ahead, but other than that, a relatively clear track all the way down to towards Brooklands. So the Jonathan Kennard car will get past those 2 Aston Martins in short order, and then we've got 2nd place Steve Tandy coming through, and he's got a reasonable gap back to David Porter in the Peugeot.
Well, sort of gap, yes, about 1.4 seconds, so that could rapidly be reduced. Christoph Danzenberg not that far back either in the 008 Lola Aston Martin, Lola chassis Aston Martin engine. And Jamie Constable up now into 8th place, number 99, in his Pescarolo, up ahead of Mike Furness. And Mark Hinkson, number 46, up into 12th place, ahead of the, at the moment, I think Aaron Scott, probably in number 55, starting the race in the number 55 Ferrari 458, which in fact is actually the leading GT car. It's ahead of Max Girardo, so that's the leading GT car running in the invitation class. Therefore, it's not going to get a GT award because it's presumably for one reason or another not strictly in compliance with the regulations for the series. But it's still a good car to have out there. And so, progress of Emmanuel Collard, he's in 16th place at the moment, car number 116. Andrew.
Yeah, just to update on the number 8 Criton Ladudis, the second of the Peugeot 908s. Of course, he was involved in that incident yesterday with Collard. This number 8 car that he was starting the race in is not the same one that was crashed yesterday. it's a different car. Immediately it went out, developed a clutch problem. So the team are looking into computers at the moment, trying to see if they can get it going again. But that's why it did not. I'm not sure if it even took the start, but it's a clutch problem for the second of the Peugeots. As I said, it's not the car that he raced yesterday.
Well, did not Berridge tell you that he had 7 Peugeots?
Berridge did say he got 7 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is another one.
Take another one off the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever heard of anybody buying 7 Le Mans cars? Unbelievable. But it's great, isn't it? I love seeing it.
Somebody does it, yes, because you get the chance to see the cars, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting when Audi started that diesel thing, and then, of course, Peugeot came in, didn't they? Had their one Le Mans win. And the only car that Peugeot kept is the one that won Le Mans. Right. All the others they built, Berridge bought them.
We've just had a change for 3rd place. Christoph Danzenberg got back ahead of David Porter. What? Andrew? Right.
Oh, no, I say all good.
Oh, right, yes, sorry.
Nice, great racing out. I love these cars, Ian. I absolutely love them.
But driving standards warning flag going out. This is not respecting the track limits, I imagine. This is for car 007. Now, we don't... was it Alex Lenow who started that car? Because John Grant, our BRDC chairman, is going to be taking that car over. Alex Lenow started the car yesterday. Now, Christoph Danzenberg has just done the absolute best first sector. Jonathan Kennard's lead is 14 seconds. Emmanuel Collard is now up into 14th place and picking them off one by one, such is the pace he's lapping at. Let's see what his lap times are like. A 150.9 last time around. Yes, Emmanuel Collard is the quickest driver on the track at the moment, although he doesn't have the fastest lap. That was set by Jonathan Kennard on lap 4. They're now on lap 7. But the quickest driver on the track at the moment is Emmanuel Collard, working his way up the order. He's in 14th place at the moment in the number 116 Pescarolo. So can he possibly catch the Kennard Cantillon? Mike Cantillon, of course, has already had his success in the historic Formula 1 race today. There's a great view of the 008 Lolo Aston Martin. Now in 3rd place, 4.7 seconds behind Steve Tandy. Steve Tandy 13.5 seconds behind Jonathan Kennard. So Christoph Danzenberg through, David Porter 4th, 5th James Cottingham, 6th is Francois Perrodo, Jamie Constable 7th, 8th is number 9 Sean Lynn in the Bentley, 9th is number 24 Mike Finesse in the Orica, and 10th in the other Orica, number 45 Keith Freezer. And Emmanuel Collard is now 12th. Emmanuel Collard now in 12th place in number 116. And on this next lap, he's going to probably pass another 2 or 3 cars. He's in your sight now, Alistair. The blue.
Yes, he's got a fairly clear track down to Brooklands from here, but these cars are so much quicker than the majority of the field with all the different classes that he's catching somebody virtually every corner.
Highest speed now down the Wellington Straight, 172 miles an hour by David Porter's Peugeot. That's moving. And on the Hangar Straight, the fastest speed by David Porter's Peugeot, again, 178.4. That's the highest speed we've seen through a speed trap so far today. 178.4 miles an hour by David Porter. And another new fastest lap by Jonathan Kennard. He leads by 17 seconds. And Emmanuel Collard will be with us shortly to gain another 2 or 3 places. He was 12th at the start of this lap. I think he's going to be about 10th this time. Of course, the field is getting a bit more spaced out now, so it's not a question of passing cars in clumps. There's Jamie Constable in 7th place. So the in the pits has gone number 145, Will Goffs, Porsche 997 GT3. Manuel Collard actually not 2 places, he's gained 1 place on that lap. He's ahead of Mike Newton now, so Emmanuel Collard now in 11th place, but will probably pass in your sight Keith Freezer for 10th.
Yes, and I think is that in front of Keith Freezer is it Finesse's
Yes.
car, the red one? Yeah, so he might get 2 places here on the run down the Wellington Straight, which would take him up to 9th.
Yeah.
So, yep, he passes Freezer's car before they get to the bridge.
Next car to catch is the Bentley Speed 8, the car of Sean Lynn, number 9 in 8th place. Jonathan Kennard has now completed 8 laps. Andrew?
Yeah, very interesting little connection that's come into my head. Previous race was won obviously by an ex-Jack Brabham Cooper. This current race is being led by a Judd-engined car. John Judd used to work for Jack Brabham.
Yeah. There we are, Andrew. Yes, a good connection that. Yeah.
Good connection. I don't know how it's brought to that. It's been a long weekend, hasn't it? But actually, John Judd, senior, John Judd Jr. is here looking after the engines of these Pescarolos.
Right, so Jonathan Kennard not really easing his pace. He's 17.8 seconds ahead of Steve Tandy. Steve is 6 seconds ahead of Christoph Danzenberg, who's gradually reeling him in, I think, although not on the last lap spaces. David Porter in the Peugeot number 7, 4th. James Cottingham in the Dallara, 5th. Francois Perrodo, number 34, 6th. And Jamie Constable, number 99, is 7th. And Sean Lynn has gone through in the Bentley in 8th place. And I'm just wondering, oh, there's Collard. Yes, he's gone through in 9th place now. He's 3.6 seconds behind. So he's gained 2 places, the 2 Oricas, as you said, Alistair.
Yeah, he's gained those 2. Yeah, it's not far behind Sean Lynn now as they come up to the loop. And the Bentley, a little bit of smoke out of the back, might have been a locked tyre. And as they come over past me through Aintree, I think Collard is going to sweep round the outside of the Bentley. The Bentley is certainly my favourite car here. It's a wonderful looking car, completely different class though to Collard's. So Collard sweeps through, I think, by the time they get to Brooklands.
So Emmanuel Collard now in 8th place, and a bit of ground to make up on anybody else. Of course, the cars he's now catching are pretty quick cars in themselves. But his lap times last time around, Emmanuel Collard's lap was a 1:52.1. Not as quick as Jonathan Kennard is doing, so things are looking good for the Kennard-Cantillon combination. And on this lap, Jonathan has done his personal best first sector. So he's drawing away from Steve Tandy. 20.3 seconds is his lead now. The pit window is now open, so the progression we've seen so far is going to be temporarily disrupted by the pit stops. So the pit window is open. And we've had the first 7 cars go through onto their 10th lap. First 7 through, and the next one will be Emmanuel Collard, I would imagine. Having got ahead of the Bentley, as Alistair told us. So it is turning through Abbey now. Emmanuel Collard in 8th place. He's 17.9 seconds behind, and he's just done his best lap of the race. Not quite as quick as Jonathan Kennard's best lap. Andrew.
Yeah, we've got our first pits. Oh, we've got another pit for Bentley's just come in, but the number 6 Orica is down here. This is the car with James Cottingham in. Raced at Le Mans by Pedro Lamy, Eric Comas and Olivier Beretta, what, about 15 years ago, 14 years ago. This is also running a John V10 engine, and it's just about 3 seconds. He'll be gone, but the pit's getting very busy indeed now down here. But just looking at the Bentley as well, lovely to see. Of course, it's the first time Bentley's raced since Le Mans. We've seen it demonstrated on many occasions, but Sean Lynn has purchased his car quite recently, and it's great that he's giving an outing here. But I'd like to see his son, Alex Lynn, who of course currently drives in the WEC, having to go in this Bentley, because I think he'd make it go pretty quickly.
This is the only Bentley in private hands, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, it's got the same Audi engine that powered the R8s to success over those many years, yes.
Right, so only half a dozen cars have so far made a pit stop, but more to come. Jonathan Kennard will, of course, be handing over to Mike Cantillon. A lead of over 20 seconds when he comes in. It's 22.5 at the moment. In the GT category, it is, well, the leading GT car, but in the invitation class is the Aaron Scott Arkwin Williams Ferrari 458 GT3. Ahead of Max Girardo, who will win the award by the looks of things, like he did yesterday. Into the pits has come Ollie Hancock with the TVR. Going nicely. Now, I'm assuming he's making his mandatory stop at the moment. Second of the GT cars in 16th place. Now, Constable to Collard is down to 14 seconds difference. Jonathan Kennard, meanwhile, has gone through. And we have total screen failure. So we're now bereft of any information. But Andrew, in the pits, what can you tell us?
Yeah, what I want to say, you've lost your screen, haven't you?
Yes.
In the old days, you used to have the man sitting alongside you. You had a thing called a lap chart, didn't he? And he's probably more reliable than a computer. Anyway, we got David Porter has come in the Peugeot now. The door is just opened. The Michelin people are checking the tyre temperatures, looking at the car. David, of course, originally from Scotland, has worked in the financial industry.
Emmanuel
in
Collard in the
States.
pits as well, Andrew.
Yeah, I just see him coming. Yeah, so David Porter here with this magnificent Peugeot. I'm not sure if I mentioned it yesterday, Ian, but he is going to take it to Daytona for the Daytona 24-hour Classic in November, and seeing this Peugeot on the banking will be an awesome sight. Twice he's won that main section of the 24 hours of Daytona Classic with the Pescarolo, but he's going to take the Peugeot and see what he can do. I shall be there. I'm looking forward to it.
Right, well, I'm trying to find another timing screen on another monitor that might give me some information about how the race is getting on. But I'm not sure I'm going to be able to be successful. Let's just have a go. So the leader is in. Andrew?
Yes, indeed, the leader is in. I've just seen Jonathan Kennard hop out of the car like a spring chicken, and I will go down and get a word with him. But another fine drive by Kennard, no question of doubt. He was right on it, wasn't he? And this boy has been passed over, but he deserves a chance in full-time professional racing, I think.
So they're looking down on the lead car. Mike Cantillon being strapped in. And when Jonathan came down the pit lane, he led Steve Tandy by 25.7 seconds. Emmanuel Collard has made his stop and is shown as being in 7th place at the moment. But we won't start giving you the rundown of the order until, well, hope the screen stays with us. Andrew, you've got Jonathan Kennard with you, I think.
I certainly have got Jonathan with me, but we'll just let the car go, I think, Jonathan, because it's very, very noisy. Let the car go. There's Mike Cantillon, still waiting to be counted down. The Collard Pescarolo has just gone out. Right, Jonathan. Another fine drive. You pulled out 25 seconds.
Yeah, I have to. So I knew I had to push. I think we need 20 seconds over the next guy. So I don't think I could have done more, but let's see what happens.
Car felt perfect.
That's lovely. Perfect as ever. Wonderful. Yeah.
Are you likely to drive it again?
I'm not sure. It's down to Mike. Let's see. see how this race goes first. I hope so.
You're going pretty well. You've done your job, mate.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm here for. So, but it'd be lovely to take it out again sometime. It's a wonderful bit of kit.
Very well done, Jonathan Kennard. I'm sure that Mike Cantillon will have him in some more races.
Yeah.
But crazy not to.
But Jonathan Kennard is the sort of guy who doesn't count his chickens. I think he's had too many disappointments in his career to be certain of anything. But you're absolutely right, Andrew. The way he's driven both yesterday in the twilight and today in the daylight, been very impressive indeed. And Mike Cantillon, who's on good form for what we saw of him in the Formula One race, should be able to do the business to stay ahead of Emmanuel Collard.
Well, Steve Tandy is only 5 car lengths behind Mike Cantillon, and as far as I can see from my screen, Steve Tandy's done his stop, so that's the true gap between them. It's about 2 seconds, I'd say.
Looks as though it's a longer stop then for the leading car, for the number 10 car. But if it's only a few lengths, then that is a potential threat. Steve Tandy with rather more experience of these cars than Mike Cantillon, although Mike is an experienced driver of historic sports cars and single-seaters. But the other threat, of course, is Emmanuel Collard. We've got 14.25 minutes to go. That's probably not long enough for Emmanuel to catch up. And according to the screen, we've now got Steve Tandy in the lead. Yes, he is. So Steve Tandy leads Mike Cantillon by half a second over the line, and as they come up towards you, then you've got number 16 ahead of number 10.
That's correct, yes, into the loop now, and Steve Tandy leads with second place now, Mike Cantillon having taken over the car, then Christophe Dansport next up, not so far behind in the wailing Lola Aston Martin, who had an amazing engine note, and he's still being chased by David Porter. Those two have been together virtually the whole race.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? Yes. The gap between them is just over a second. James Cottingham is 5th in the number 6 Dallara. I'm just waiting to see where Emmanuel Collard will slot in. But I think that early mandatory penalty that he had to take has cost him any chance of winning the race with just 13.25 minutes to go. Everybody's made their pit stop except for, well, not shown on the screen as having made his pit stop, but I thought he had, Jamie Constable, number 99. Maybe a glitch on the transponder. Also yet to stop is Mike Brown in the number 4 Aston Martin. Andrew? No.
Yes, I've unravelled it. The Kennard car had an extra 20-second penalty. You know, they have these success penalties in this championship, and so they had a 20-second success penalty. So that's why Steve Tandy is in the lead.
Right.
Not a rule I love.
No, it applies in British GT and other championships as well. So, yeah, I know what you mean. But that's why Jonathan Kennard said to you that they need to have a 20-second cushion because of the penalty they had. So Emmanuel Collard, meanwhile, has just done the absolute best second sector on this lap and doing 170 miles an hour down the Hangar Straight. So having got ahead, Steve Tandy's not getting away from Mike Cantillon.
No, the two of them going down the Wellington Straight, and yet more traffic, of course, at the end of the straight. And then as they turn into Brooklands, Dansport and David Porter come. Christophe Dansport has a coming together, I think, with one of the Ferraris, which took to the apron on the outside of Aintree. Maybe didn't contact, but had to move out of the way.
11.5 minutes to go. Leaders on their way along the Heritage Pit Straight, the National Pit Straight. And having said that, the cars have already arrived at Copse Corner. And so Steve Tandy leading, and I think that Mike Cantillon is closing up a little, isn't he?
He is, yes. I think he's settled into the car now.
Yeah.
Of course, Steve Tandy solo, so we heard that from another driver earlier yesterday, that a solo driver probably has an advantage, but Mike Cantillon now certainly settled in.
As they come out of Chapel Curve onto Hangar Straight. And Mike Cantillon thinking perhaps there's a chance now to make a move, but decides against it, just rehearsing perhaps for the bid when it comes. It's still number 16, Steve Tandy, who leads the way. Mike Cantillon in second place. Ahead of them is Keith Freezer, number 45. So they go through just a quarter of a second between them. They both got past Keith Freezer. And Mike Cantillon, having, I think probably one of the things that's inspiring him, not just the desire to win, but the desire to do justice to the performance put in by Jonathan Kennard in the early part of the race.
Through the loop they come, very, very close indeed now, so there's an opportunity perhaps for Mike Cantillon at the end of the Wellington Straight. He closes right up onto the back of Tandy as they go under the bridge.
Yes, they're going side by side. I think Mike Cantillon is going to be able to outbrake Steve Tandy into Brooklands as he does, and so Mike Cantillon goes through and retakes the lead from Steve Tandy that he lost a few laps ago after coming out of the pits. But as you said, Alistair, he's now settled into the car, whereas Steve Tandy, of course, was already settled into the car, having done the first half of the race. And Emmanuel Collard has just done the fastest lap of the race, but he's still down in 8th place, a 1:48.956 by the French driver. And into your sight they come, new leader.
Into Beckett's, the takes your breath away speed through Beckett's, with Mike Cantillon now ahead of Steve Tandy as they head off down the Hanger Straight once again. We may see these cars twice, but neither time do we see them for very long, do we?
No.
Incredible speed.
Down to Stowe Corner come the two leaders then, with number 10 back in front, but for the first time in the hands of Mike Cantillon. Is it leading? With Steve Tandy, although to be fair, I think to be pedantic, Mike Cantillon led very briefly when he rejoined the race, but Steve Tandy was soon past him at that stage. But traffic is going to be a factor for the remainder of the race. The GT cars, a factor. Max Girardo leading the GT category in the number 65 Ferrari 550, running in 14th place, having moved ahead of the Aaron Scott Arkwin Williams Ferrari, which is in the imitation class. Leaders out of Aintree, Alistair.
Yes, and Mike Cantillon seems to have just eased away a little now from Steve Tandy. As we've already said, he's settled into the car and just pulling away very slightly, probably about 2 seconds between them.
Warning flag about driving standards going out for car 55, which is the Aaron Scott Arwin Williams Ferrari, but won't cast aspersions in either driver's direction. We don't actually know. We know who started the car yesterday, but not today. And out of the race goes Christoph Dansenborg. That's the Lola Aston. Has he gone off or pulled off? I think he's gone off, actually, hasn't he? And Scott, perhaps unable to get out of the car. Yes, he's slid off the circuit, and he probably can't. He's so close to the Armco barrier, he probably can't get out. So we've got a replay of what happened. Here he comes. So there's the 008 Lola Aston, Christoph Dansenberg. It's a somewhat wild old ride here. Locks up and onto the grass. And the car, I think we're going to see, eventually makes hopefully quite gentle contact with the barriers. But he steered it to the left. Yeah, the marshal's taking evasive action. And he comes to a halt against the Armco, and that is out of the race. They can just about open the door. So that means up into 3rd place will come David Porter in the Peugeot. Andrew?
Yeah, that's good news. One thing we haven't mentioned, I think, is that Steve Tandy's car is ex-Dyson Racing, raced by Guy Smith and Chris Dyson in the IMSA series in America. But that's using a completely different engine to the Judds, of course. That's got a Mazda badge, AER 2-litre, very highly turbocharged engine in it. So it's a different sort of concept, really. And that car is one of the very last cars, if not the last car, that Lola ever built.
Oh, right. I mean, I mentioned the Mazda engine, but it's a badged Mazda, it's not a Mazda-built engine. Emmanuel Collard still putting in quicker and quicker lap times, but it's not getting him very far up the order anymore. But Steve Tandy's been closing in once more, hasn't he, on Mike Cantillon?
He has, but I'm afraid that's all been stymied by catching a back marker just in the wrong place, Pierre Bruneau in the pill beam, and he caught him just coming into Beckett's. So I think when you see them again, you'll find the gap has opened out again, unfortunately.
Well, there is David Porter now in third place, the number 7 Peugeot, heading up towards Maggots and Beckett's. Emmanuel Collard goes past me here, having now completed 17 laps, number 116 in 7th place. And we have just under 5 minutes to go. And that lead gap, as you say, Alistair, has gone up very noticeably now. Steve Tandy certainly out of the slipstream of the leading car. The gap is 2.5 seconds at these speeds. It seems looks much more than that, but of course they're going so fast, 2.5 seconds faster. And so those two well clear of David Porter in the number 7 Peugeot in third place. There it is on the screen. Just coming through to complete its 18th lap. Behind it in 4th place, number 99, Jamie Constable's Pescarolo. In 5th place, number 6, James Cottingham's Dallara. The gap between those two, Constable and Cottingham, 7.7 seconds. But Jamie Constable lapping more quickly, so he's not going to be caught that way. In 6th place, Francois Perrodo, number 34. And Emmanuel Collard is 26.7 seconds behind Perrodo, so I don't think he's going to gain another place, actually. Yeah, they've gone through, and so Emmanuel Collard, number 116, yet to come through, but will be the next one. Here he comes out of club corner now, driving it hard, but a vain pursuit it is. So it won't get any more places. GT still led by Max Girardo in the number 65 Ferrari 550. Mike Cantillon completes now 19 laps. Steve Tandy 3.2 seconds behind him, so dropping back by the lap. We have 2 3/4 minutes to go, so the lap times they're doing, it's going to be another 2 laps. The lap they're on, plus 1 more. The number 7 Aston Martin, very pretty looking car. Sorry, the number 007 Aston Martin, I meant to say. The Alexander Lee now I think John Grant taking the car over. Running in the invitation class in 17th place overall. There's the Max Girardo Ferrari going through, leading the GT class in 14th place. Got David Porter, I think, passing you, Alistair.
Yes, having to just slow briefly, not that it will make any difference to his position, to pass a car that he's lapping. And as you say, Emmanuel Collard, he's closing at an enormous rate on Perrodo, but he's just so far behind, I don't think he's going to catch him.
Yes, the difference in lap times is about 5 seconds. But the gap is about 25 seconds, or well, it's come down in chunks, yes. It's now just under 15 seconds, but he needs another 3 laps. He's not going to get another 3 laps. And obviously having to take it cautiously past some of the slower cars. And the gap is 14.9 seconds between Perrodo and Collard. And this is the last lap. So Mike Cantillon, 20 laps completed, onto his 21st lap. Steve Tandy a little bit closer on that lap, 2.8 seconds, Alistair.
Yes, into the loop, and as you say, about 2 or 3 seconds between them as they go through Aintree. No problem for Mike Cantillon. keeps off the curbs, as does Steve Tandy, and down the Wellington Straight they go, up to close to 170 miles an hour.
There's the leader then. Great shots we've had from the Hayfisher team of cameramen during the course of the meeting, but these particularly catching the high speed of these prototypes down past the pits. The Heritage pits goes the leader, Mike Cantillon, the Irish driver, who a few years ago was to be found racing Caterhams very effectively. We graduated to much more exotic machinery, which is not a reflection on Caterhams, but I don't think they claim to be exotic. Onto Hangar Straight comes the leader, with Steve Tandy not that far back, but only a couple of corners to go now before Mike Cantillon, with of course a little more than a little help from Jonathan Kennard, wins for the second time this weekend the Aston Martin Trophy for the Masters Endurance Legends category. Across the line, I think he was so quick across the out of the last corner, he may not have seen the flag, but anyway, he wins in the end by only 1.6 seconds, but I think that's probably because he was easing off. Yes, he was. His lap time on the last lap was slightly slower than usual, whereas Steve Tandy did his best lap of the race. Not the fastest lap of anybody, but his best lap of the race on the last lap. So big effort put in by Steve Tandy there on the last lap, and close to within just over 1.5 seconds of the winner. Still to come, of course, for third place. Here he is now in the number 7 Peugeot 908, David Porter. So he takes third. Fourth place should go to Jamie Constable in the number 99 Pescarolo. Yeah, he has taken the flag now, 7.3 seconds behind David Porter. And in fifth place, James Cottingham, number 6, with the Dallara SP1. Takes the flag now. And although Francois Perrodo was being reeled in by Emmanuel Collard, Perrodo still gets across the line ahead of Emmanuel Collard, still by 8.78 seconds. So Perrodo, number 34, takes 6th. Collard, number 116, takes 7th. Andrew is there with the winning drivers.
I'm there with the hugging and the congratulations going on. Mike Cantillon did a very good job. We spoke to Jonathan Kennard, obviously after his stint. We'll just wait for Mike to get that Irish-coloured crash helmet off. We need him to explain, really, why he doesn't have any sort of Irish accent at all, Mike.
Sorry?
Well, no, it's just to the side. A wonderful drive there. I mean, obviously, you had to make up that 20-second success penalty.
Yeah.
And you did that, and an audacious move past Steve's car.
Yeah, well, Jono gave me the car. I think we were 25 seconds in, so I got a 5-second start on Steve, but then he caught me up quickly because I was getting into the groove. But they came over the radio and said, you're racing Tandy, you've got to make the move, go for it. And we went for it, and thank God it stuck.
Excellent. What I was saying before is no Irish accent. Are you really from Ireland? Are you a cheat Irishman?
Yeah, I'm a second generation plastic paddy.
Plastic paddy, I know. Yeah. So great drive by there with Mike Cantillon in the car, originally raced by two very well-known French drivers, Olivier Pla and Alexandre Primard. Now let's see if we can find. We'll go back. Just follow me with the camera, and we're going to see Steve Tandy here. Hello, Bob. I'm sure if Bob stood up at Bob Berridge's down here. Steve.
Yeah.
The boy wound it up a bit to get by you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race between the two of us. I mean, I had a pretty good dice earlier on with Christoph in the Aston. So, yeah, good, clean race. I got done by top speed again, as I said yesterday. We're 15 miles an hour down and on the straight, so I'm a bit of a sitting duck.
I was explaining on the commentary, this has got basically an AER engine, as ambassador. You're quite a bit down on horsepower.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a 2-litre AER on the single turbo, so she's pushing out you know, a fair bit less than the others, but there's no real torque out of the corners, but the aero on the car is fantastic. So we're great through the maggots, speckets, etc., but often compromised by traffic in that. And
you know, I love seeing this car racing in America because I commentated on quite a lot of the races 13 or 14 years ago. It's great to see it coming out. Let's just move on.
It's not that old. It's not that old.
Oh,
But,
13 years old.
Yeah.
13, yeah. It was one. I was saying it's one of the very last Lolas ever built, wasn't it?
2012, yeah. So 7 years, yeah.
Let's just dive in with David Porter, who's got his crash helmet off. David, well done, mate. That's the best result with a Peugeot. I think you're getting your head round this now.
I'm getting there, Andrew. This is a very challenging car to drive, but it's an absolutely brilliant car. It really is. I can understand now how they won everything, including Le Mans. It's a privilege to drive this car. Thanks to all these guys here who prepped it. BBM Motorsport, brilliant prep. Car ran like a train all weekend.
Yeah, and fabulous technology in this, of course. You told me off camera earlier on, you're probably going to take it to Daytona, to the Rolex 24 Classic event.
Yep, after this, it's going to get prepped and then in a container, and it's going to do the Classic 24 and the Classic 12, both of which I've won with pro drivers. With this car, I want to win them both on my own.
Absolutely. Well, anybody out there would like a bit of a holiday in Florida in November, they should come and see you do that. Arshil were there.
Absolutely. It's a brilliant event, and it is quite nice in Florida in November.
It absolutely is. David, congratulations. Well done. You are getting your head around this magnificent machine. We'll see you on the podium.
Thank you, Andrew.
Right, the result then on the screen, the win for Jonathan Kennard and Mike Cantillon in the Pescarolo LMP1, from Steve Tandy in the Lola B1260 AER Mazda engine car. Third, David Porter with the Peugeot 908. Fourth, Jamie Constable with the Pescarolo LMP1. Fifth, James Cottingham's Dallara SP1. In sixth place, Francois Perrodo with his Porsche RS Spider. In seventh place, Manuel Collard, including his penalty stop at the beginning, Pescarolo LMP1 in seventh place. In eighth place, Keith Freezer with the Orica 03 LMP2. In ninth place, Mike Newton with the MG Lola EX257. And in 10th place, Sean Lynn with the Bentley Speed 8. Those are the top 10 finishers.
Fantastic to see some of those other presentations taking place away from actually at the circuit. And of course, we've got our track presentation now for race 20 of the weekend. And don't forget as well, we're also going to be awarding the Henry Hope Frost Fever Award a little bit later on. We'll be talking about that as the final race gets underway with Ian Titchmarsh up in the commentary box. Let's press on with the presentation for race 20, the Aston Martin Trophy for Masters Endurance Legends. Delighted to say we are joined by star driver Nicolas Manassian that will be making the presentation in a couple of moments after we get the prototype and the overall top three driver pairings onto the podium. So third place, number 7, David Porter. Well done, David. Congratulations. Nick will get you in a moment, and you can make the presentation once we've got all the drivers on the podium. In second place, just heard from him down in the pit lane, Steve Tandy. Well done, Steve. Congratulations. Onto the second step of the podium he goes. And then to our winners in car number 10, Jonathan Kennard and Mike Cantillon. Well done. They get a big cheer from the crowd. And now, Nick, would you like to step forward? Third place, first of all, over at the far end of the podium. The trophy about to go in the hands of David Porter after they've congratulated each other. A handshake with Nick Manassian and third place and the Masters cap as well. Down this end of the podium, we go to our second place driver, Steve Tandy. Second yesterday, second today as well, and put his personal best lap in on the final lap of the race. Absolutely, until the checkered flag, he was motoring on. And then to our winners, Jonathan Kennard and Mike Cantillon. They take the winner's trophy and the all-important garlands of victory around the neck. Top step of the podium for the Silverstone Classic yesterday and today. And now we ask all the drivers, please, to bunch up together as close as you can with the trophies and a photograph opportunity. Nick Manassian is taking a picture as well. You could do a great selfie, Nick. That would be really cool. And so that's our podium for the prototypes, the overall top three. And a round of applause, please, for our top three in the prototype class, the overall top three. David Porter in third place, Steve Tandy in second place, Jonathan Kennard and Mike Cantillon on the top step of the podium, enjoying every minute of it. Well done, gentlemen. Congratulations. They make their way off the podium to clear the podium and make way for the GT cars podium. And those drivers, we will get onto the podium once again in reverse order, and Nick Manassian will once again make the presentation. Let's get the drivers up, starting with third place. Third yesterday, third today as well. Number 93, Colin Sota. Congratulations, Colin. Makes his way up to the third step of the podium over at the far end. Well done to him. Second place, number 95, Ollie Hancock. Well done, Ollie. Congratulations. Nice to see you as well. Onto the second step of the podium in his TVR. And then it was a win yesterday and a win today as well for number 65, Massimiliano Corrado. He was delighted last night with the win, and he's delighted this afternoon with the win. Nick, would you like to once again do the honours with third place? So Colin Sota getting the third place award for the second day running. Then to Ollie Hancock, welcome to the podium at the Silverstone Classic with a second place for our second race of the weekend. And then to our winner. I love winners that really appreciate the garland, the trophy and the cap as well. Massimiliano Corrado on the top step of the podium. He's absolutely delighted. And as they pose now on the top step of the podium, I'll 1, 2, 3, and hold your trophies up. Max is very much being the cheerleader here, and he's delighted, which brings our podium presentation to a conclusion. Thanks to Nick Manassian for making the presentation. Thank you, Nick. Lovely to see you. And that's our podium presentation for our penultimate race for the Silverstone Classic in 2019 for the Aston Martin Trophy for Masters Endurance Legends.